In the heart of the American frontier, where danger, hardship, and opportunity collided every single day, stories of survival and resilience often defined the lives of pioneers. Yet, amid the rugged beauty of the Wyoming Territory in the winter of 1887, there emerged a love story that would stand apart from the usual tales of cattle, guns, and gold. It was a story that combined fate, courage, and redemption, one that changed not only the lives of two extraordinary people but also left an imprint on the West forever. The story begins at the bustling Cheyenne train station, where snow swirled in icy gusts and the bitter wind bit through even the thickest wool coats. Cheyenne was a hub of activity, a place where ranchers, traders, lawmen, and drifters crossed paths. That night, a wealthy cattle rancher named Jack Thornton had just returned from Denver on business. At 40, Jack was already a legend in the territory, owner of the vast Double T Ranch, a man with more cattle than most towns had people, and a reputation for being as tough as the land he ruled. Yet behind his success, Jack carried the quiet weight of loneliness. He had fortune, respect, and power, but he longed for someone to share it with. It was in that stormy night that Jack's fate collided with Elizabeth Montgomery. She was unlike anyone Jack had ever met. Elizabeth had fled Philadelphia in desperation, her life in tatters after defending herself from a wealthy man's unwanted advances. In defending her honor, she had lost everything: her career as a nurse, her family's support, and the life she once knew. She boarded a train westward, chasing a chance at survival in a world that would not so easily judge her. But the journey had been cruel, and by the time she arrived in Cheyenne, Elizabeth was exhausted, freezing, and utterly alone. Jack spotted her almost instantly. Amid the noise and bustle of travelers, she sat shivering on a bench, her thin coat no match for the Wyoming winter. Something in her eyes, a mix of strength and sorrow, struck Jack deeply. Without hesitation, he approached, offering her warmth, food, and a place to stay until she could find her footing. Though Elizabeth was wary at first, she sensed something in Jack that she hadn't encountered in months: kindness without expectation. What began as an act of compassion quickly grew into something neither had anticipated. Jack brought Elizabeth to the Double T Ranch, introducing her to a world of sweeping prairies, snow-dusted mountains, and an empire built on hard work. For Elizabeth, the ranch was both overwhelming and freeing. She had left behind the judgment and rigid expectations of Eastern society, finding herself in a place where survival mattered more than gossip. Jack, in turn, found himself captivated by Elizabeth's intelligence, grace, and quiet resilience. She was not a woman easily impressed by wealth or power. Instead, she valued the honesty in his eyes and the respect he showed her. But love in the Old West was never simple. Whispers spread quickly across Wyoming when Elizabeth appeared at Jack's side. Many wondered who this mysterious woman was, and some resented her sudden presence. Ranch life was unforgiving, and a wealthy man like Jack had no shortage of rivals eager to see him fall. Elizabeth's arrival stirred jealousy, suspicion, and even danger. Jack's enemies saw her as a weakness to exploit, while others whispered that she would never survive the brutal demands of frontier life. Yet Elizabeth proved them wrong. She used her nursing skills to care for injured ranch hands, quickly earning their respect and loyalty. She endured harsh winters, long cattle drives, and the ever-present threat of rustlers with a strength Jack admired deeply. Slowly but surely, the bond between them grew stronger, blossoming into a love that felt unshakable. The true test of their devotion came in the spring of 1888, when a gang of outlaws attempted to steal a large portion of Jack's cattle. Ranch wars were not uncommon in the West, and violence often determined who would thrive and who would be broken. On one fateful night, Jack rode out with his men to confront the rustlers. Elizabeth, though urged to remain behind, refused to let him face danger without her prayers and presence close at hand. When the confrontation turned violent, Jack was injured, and it was Elizabeth's quick thinking and steady hands that saved his life. She rode through the storm to fetch supplies, tended his wounds with unshakable focus, and refused to leave his side until he recovered. For Jack, that moment confirmed what he already knew: Elizabeth was not just the woman he loved, she was his partner in every sense of the word. She had come into his life when he least expected it, and together they had faced trials that proved their love was not fleeting, but forged in fire and hardship. In time, the couple married, their union celebrated across the territory. Their wedding was not just a personal triumph, but a symbol of what the frontier represented: the chance to start anew, to overcome past mistakes, and to build something lasting in a land that tested every soul who dared to settle it. The Double T Ranch flourished under their joint care, becoming not just a business empire, but a home filled with warmth, laughter, and a legacy of compassion. Elizabeth transformed the ranch into more than a cattle empire. She established a small medical clinic on the property, offering care to settlers, cowhands, and native families alike. Her work saved countless lives and earned her the respect of even the harshest critics. Their story became legendary, passed down by cowhands around campfires and travelers who visited Cheyenne. To many, Jack and Elizabeth embodied the spirit of the West: rugged independence, unwavering loyalty, and the belief that even in the most unforgiving landscapes, love could thrive. Their love story was more than just a romance, it was a partnership that reshaped the very community around them. By the time the 20th century dawned, the West was changing. Railroads stretched across the land, towns grew into cities, and the frontier spirit began to fade. Yet the legacy of Jack Thornton and Elizabeth Montgomery endured. They proved that love could be both tender and unbreakable, that it could weather storms, silence doubters, and leave an imprint not only on two hearts but on an entire land. The winter of 1887 had begun with two strangers crossing paths at a lonely train station. What followed was a tale of redemption, resilience, and devotion that changed the American West forever. Jack found the love he had been searching for, and Elizabeth discovered a place where she could rebuild her life with dignity and strength. Together, they carved out not just a life, but a legend, one that remains a timeless reminder that even in the wildest, roughest corners of history, love has the power to change everything. Would you like me to also write this as a storytelling script for a YouTube narrator, so it sounds more cinematic and engaging for viewers?